All right, everyone, hope you're having a great end of 2024. We're gonna talk about predictions for 2025. I usually do this at the beginning of the year, but we just had a presidential election and I wanna look at how election years affect the housing market going into the next year. A lot of people have different thoughts on that. So we're gonna dive into where I think things are headed and based on economic paths, where things could possibly be headed in 2025. So let's jump in. All right, so you're probably thinking, what authority do I have to predict or guess what's gonna happen in real estate next year? Now, this is where you're supposed to say you're not an expert or professional, but yeah, I don't know if I can say it. I got a pretty good record, okay? But you should always make your own choices, your own predictions, and really use your own thought process when placing your money on something, making an economical guess or taking any kind of risk. Don't just use mine, collect your own thoughts, collect your own data. But I'm gonna share where I get my data from, how I compile it together, and what my predictions are. And lastly, what authority do I have? Well, every year I predict. Last year I predict about 5.5%. This is last year. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a great 2023 and got good things ahead in 2024. Today we want to talk about my predictions based on data for 2024. Spoiler alert, I'm predicting 5.5% increased appreciation over real estate. That's in Boston and suburbs of Boston, the surrounding area. And let's go on Zillow and see what Zillow says has happened in the last year. Pretty good. How I predict where housing is gonna go is pretty simple process for me. I look at 10 years, I look at the last 10 years and I look at on average and every year where housing has gone up and by how much. The other thing I look at is there are about 10 factors from current state of housing to mortgage rates to where jobs are at. Are jobs growing or are they declining? There's about 8 to 10 different factors. I weigh them all and I look at where they all stand on a government website with real data on it. And then based on that, I look at the past couple of years, see where those numbers were those years, and I make my prediction. So I thought it would fall somewhere between 5 and 6 in 2024, and that's where it's landed. And next year, I'm going a percent better. I'm going 6.5% increase, I think, on average in kind of the Massachusetts, Boston to burbs area around the city. So that's my prediction, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I do think having a new president in office will help. And the first thing we should look at is history and at data when we look at that. And now it would be interesting if every other year real estate went up and every other year it went down during presidential elections. Because then you'd say 50-50. It could go up, it could go down. 7 of the last 8 years, I'll put the graph up. 7 of the last 8, it has gone up. Whoever you voted for, you voted for. Maybe you're more of a Trump, maybe you're more of a Kamala. But here's one thing I can definitely say. I think this graph is a good argument that no matter who goes into office, they often put new policies into place. They don't put their policies into place year 3. They don't do it year 2 or year 4. They put them in when they move into office. So that first year, there's often a surge economically. And also, I think probably everyone can agree whether you voted for Trump or not. Every president leans in different areas and really likes to focus on different areas. Some presidents are really want to focus on the environment. Some presidents want to really focus on social issues like humanitarian rights. Some presidents want to focus on economical issues. And Trump, I think everyone can agree he's more of an economical guy. So he's probably going to jump in office year 1 and really fire into economical issues. So I think overall, if 7 out of the last 8 election cycles, it's gone up, and you have a candidate, no matter what that candidate's like, if that candidate likes to focus on economic policies, I think you'd say there's a good chance of it being another election year where following that year, real estate market looks pretty good. So from an economic standpoint, we have a president who's coming into office. We see historically that after election years, the housing market does pretty well. And we also know that a lot of the big factors that affect housing all look in pretty good condition. And now the last thing, interest rates, which are huge for buying, the feds have continued to say that they're gonna try to continue to creep them down and make it easier and easier for buyers going into 2025. So I really think a lot of the factors are looking really good for the housing market next year. And I think that it should do as well as it did this past year, and maybe, if anything, slightly better with some new initiatives in place. Now, I want to address one question I had about Trump. Some of my clients have reached out to me and said, what do you think the odds are of a crash? Trump's a little bit of a wild card. What do you think the odds are of some economic collapse? Now, sure, anything can happen, right? I just think the odds of a housing market crash are so low. First off, I think it's hard for any presidential candidate to just crash something on their own. It's held up by so many factors, not just one person sitting in the White House somewhere. Two, Trump, whether you like him or not, whether you know things that he says or ways he talks to people or his policies, he is economically focused, which I think will help housing in general. And three, Trump won the popular vote, which I think is a big reason why there likely won't be a crash of some kind. And here's why. There's really two different ways that there could be a crash in the economy. One is that initiatives or things are put into place that quickly don't work. Even when bad policies get put into place, like maybe we shouldn't have printed money so quickly when we did after COVID, right? We've seen so much inflation. When it first happened, the first year we printing this money, everyone's getting PPP loans, you get money. Things are fine then, right? It's like eating cake. It feels great in the beginning, but it's usually bad for you long term. So even if a bad policy gets put in place, it's probably still gonna stimulate and help housing in 2025, whether you like the policies getting put into place or not. The second, I think it's actually important that Trump won the popular vote, and that's an indicator that I don't think a financial collapse or housing collapse will happen, because there are really, I always say, two drivers of the market, right? Fear and confidence in the market. When there's confidence, it usually does well. When there's fear in the market, that's when things get a little unstable. Now, if Trump, he's never won the popular vote. When he went against Hillary won the popular vote. If you told me that 70% of people voted for Kamala and 30% voted for Trump, but that he won the electoral and he got in office, and in January, 70% of people didn't love that Trump was going in and were nervous about where things were headed, I would say, yeah, that's not great. You don't want that, obviously. But the fact that most people in the country who voted for Trump, so come January, most people in the country are going to have confidence. Whether that was you or not, most people are going to have confidence because most people voted for him. So it makes it more difficult, because when you have confidence in an economy, you're not pulling your money out of the stock market. You're not selling your house. You're not making drastic economical decisions that quickly affect economies. You're staying stable. You're infusing money into that economical market. So I think the fact that most people voted for Trump is going to build confidence, whether you like that or not, it's going to build confidence around that, and overall not be enough to make a housing market crash. So I think we are looking forward towards a steady, safe market, not a crazy seller's market, not a crazy buyer's market, but a good, stable market with solid appreciation. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your 2024 and an amazing 2025. See you guys.